If anybody has any questions.
Any indication on how they died, how they were murdered?
At this point, we're not in a position to release those details, Sarah. Should that change, we will certainly be committed to do so.
Can you give us any information on how and where their bodies were discovered together on the side of the highway? Can you give us any sort of indication?
No, I don't have those details. I can just tell you that they were discovered 20 kilometers south of Liard Hotsprings, and this van, which is pictured here, was discovered at the scene.
That's the one with the Alberta license plates, right?
Correct, yeah.
Is it believed to be the one, were they driving it, or is that a suspect vehicle, or can you elaborate on that?
That's what we're trying to determine at this point, if they were actually the drivers of this vehicle. So that's what we're asking. If you were a witness and you did see this particular van, or you were a witness to either China or Lucas who were traveling in the area, to contact us. If you recognize the fact that there may be people who were traveling there and have now arrived at their destination points, either, there's access at this point to Alberta, the Yukon, into Alaska. We recognize that that's a throughway into Alaska. And there may be people who weren't aware until now and seeing this, that were looking for those details, particularly if you were traveling in the area and you either spoke to these individuals, you saw this van, or perhaps you had dash cam video which you didn't realize was important, and it may be important to our investigators. Those are the details that we're trying to confirm conclusively at this point.
There are some reports out today citing that this couple may have fallen victim to a serial killer. Can you rule out any links between this crime and other crimes? And should tourists feel safe traveling through this area?
Yeah, at this point we have no indications that this is linked to any other investigations that are active and ongoing, or any past investigations that have been gone through the court process. We want to assure you that this is a unique circumstance in northern British Columbia. There's no indication that there's been a spike in any crimes, and that this is something that we appreciate the fact that these rumors are going out there, but at this point there's nothing to indicate that these rumors are true. And I know that there's some indications perhaps from international media that they may be related to other crimes that occurred in different parts of the province. We're talking about completely different geographical areas. There's nothing to link those two at this point.
How did the call come in for their bodies on Monday morning? Was it a witness that discovered them, or was it a passing by driver, or can you elaborate on that?
I don't, Sarah. You know what? I just know that they received a call in relation to this blue van and these individuals, and when they got there, they found the two deceased individuals.
This is a horrific crime that
Absolutely.
has touched 3 countries now, and obviously 2 families that are grappling to come to terms with what's happened. From the information that you know about this crime, how would you describe this situation?
Well, I absolutely agree with you that this is tragic. Other than saying that our hearts and thoughts go out to all the families that are involved, and we understand, Friends International and here nationally as well, because it's my understanding that Lucas was living here, that it's going to touch everybody, and we are absolutely committed to advancing the investigation to the best of our abilities. Our investigators have access to all the resources available to them, and we're working with our partners internationally in order to advance this as best as we can, and that's why we're asking for the public's assistance at this point. So if you were in the area, if you have dash cam video, that we're asking you to get in touch with our investigators.
Can you speak to the resources that you have put on this case, and do police detectives plan to go back to this site?
It's my understanding that the investigators are still at the site, that they're still in the area, and we're committed to providing any and all resources that are required. The beauty of the RCMP is that we have the ability to move our resources throughout the province, and actually throughout the entire country, in order to support any and all investigations. We have investigators from the North District and our E Division, which are normally based here, that have deployed to go up in order to support the Northern Rockies RCMP detachment, and the ability to move resources as and when required.
Do you know, in terms of Lucas and China, you're saying Lucas was living in Canada. Do we know if he was living in BC or Alberta?
Yeah, it's my understanding he was living in BC, and that China was visiting him, and that they were exploring beautiful British Columbia.
Does it change the dynamic of this investigation, the fact that Lucas' dad is such a high-profile, investigator in Australia? Australia, we know that some investigators are coming here. Does that change the dynamic at all or make it in any way more personal for you guys in terms of investigating this case?
You know, Sarah, we take every single file that comes into us, and we work it as vigorously, irregardless of who they are. Respecting the fact that, you know, he is an inspector with the police department. That being said, we would work this file if he wasn't. That every victim to us is a true victim, and that we're always looking to find out who's responsible for that. And we're committed to doing that in this case as we would be in any other case.
And is it regular protocol that Australia would reach out to you to offer assistance in a matter like this, or do you go to them to ask for any assistance in the...
Yeah, certainly. I mean, anytime that we have any requirement to speak to investigators or to require assistance outside of our country, we have liaison officers stationed in many countries across the entire world, not only in Australia and the United States. We would lean on those investigators to assist us in whatever way we needed them to do. So it isn't unusual to ask, especially when people are from different countries, to ask for assistance in any investigation.
I was just going to say, are you able to confirm whether the bodies were found inside or outside the vehicle?
I don't have those details. I'm sorry. No, I don't.
Do you know which direction that van was heading? Were they heading south or north?
Again, I don't have those details. I can just tell you that they were found 20 kilometers south of Liard Hotsprings on the side of the roadway.
And the van, you have determined who the owner of the van is?
We're trying to determine all the details relating to the van, so we don't want to speculate at this point. We're asking anybody who saw that van, this particular van, and may have information about that van to please call our investigators.
Do you have any description of clothing that the two were wearing that might help people spot them?
I do not. I'm sorry.
We spoke to a witness who said that she believed she saw them on the side of the road on Sunday, and the hood of their trunk or their car was popped. They're having mechanical issues. Is that something you guys are looking into at all?
Absolutely. I mean, we are looking into any and all information, and if that witness hasn't already spoken to police, we would encourage them to do so. Any information that we have, and you have, or anybody has, with respect to Mr. Fowler's or Miss Deese's death, we would be interested in speaking to you.
Have the bodies of these two victims been released to their family, and they make them aware whether they'll be repatriated to them?
It's my understanding they have not yet been. I would presume that that they will be, but it won't be until the investigation is at a position where they're able to do so.
Can you say whether there have been any violent crimes, perhaps similar in nature to this in this region in recent months or years?
I'm not aware of any such investigations having been occurred. We did speak to the detached commander in the area, and he assured us that there's nothing to indicate that there's been a spike in any crimes that, you know, anywhere similar to this.
On that note, maybe you can just speak to how rare a violent crime like this is in that region. It is so remote. I know that for Australian viewers, you know, how rare is it to have a double homicide?
Yeah, I mean,
Where those bodies were located?
yeah, Sarah, I mean, I don't have any statistics relating to that, but I can tell you that this is a unique circumstances and not one that I personally am aware of in any recent years, certainly. I don't have any statistics that could verify, but in speaking to the detachment commander and the area commanders, I can tell you that they indicated that this is certainly unusual, and now we're trying to determine whether this is targeted or whether it was a crime of opportunity. So those will be some of the answers we're trying to establish at this point.
And you mentioned working with law enforcement officers in other provinces and with the FBI. It's possible that whoever this murderer or murderers is, they could be long gone out of the country by now. So can you maybe elaborate on just the search for the suspects in this case, or suspect?
Well, I mean, at this point, the investigation is very early, and we're trying to comb through the evidence that is at the scene at this point. But I mean, if you have information about their deaths and you haven't already spoken to police, we would ask that if you weren't already aware and you're now aware, that you do call the Northern Rockies RCMP detachment at 250-774-2700.
Last question for me, but why are we just finding out about this now, 5 days after the bodies were discovered? What was the process there in terms of telling the public? And the murderer is obviously still at large, so what was the delay in letting the public and the media know?
This is actually the third news release that we've issued in relation to this incident. There was an initial news release that was issued the morning of the discovery of their bodies, and then there was a second news release that was issued later in the week, and then a third one issued this morning, at which point we were able to confirm their identities. So it's whether it's just piquing their interest because there's some international interest in this, or because now we've identified those involved, the victims involved, and people are now more interested. But we did issue the news releases earlier this week.
Last particularly to these families from what we know plan to travel here.
Mhm.
What would be your message to them?
That we're absolutely committed to this investigation, and it's a priority for us, that we understand that this is a very difficult time for them, and that we have and will continue to offer any and all resources to them that they require, just as we would any other victim family.
Can you say how many officers are dedicated to this, solving this crime?
I don't have specific numbers, but I can tell you that any and all that will be required will be deployed in order to assist.
Was that van, was it sitting by the road? I mean, is it possible that dozens or hundreds of people saw it, or was it off the road somewhere where you wouldn't notice it?
It's my understanding that it was sitting on the side of the highway, and that there may have been a lot of people that saw this. And if you haven't already spoken to us, we would be interested in speaking to you, because we are trying at this point to narrow down a timeline with respect to their deaths.
Do you have sort of an idea to give the public? Is it there could be a day or an hour?
Yeah, so we are looking specifically for anybody who is traveling along the Alaska Highway 97 route after 4 p.m. on Sunday, July 14th, or before 8 a.m. on July 15th, which was the Monday.
Other than the initial call, has there been any contact with the person that called it in?
I don't know those details, I'm sorry. Can't speak to that. Okay, thank you very much for coming.